you've gotten a lot farther than you should have. But then you haven't met Frank Horrigan either. Your ride's over, mutie. Time to die.
By now, most of you who know me understand that the Enclave are my favourite faction, and I've explained their origins, goals, and story many times on my channel. However, there is one person in the Enclave I never spoke about, one of the most well-known, brutal, and successful soldiers, the only mutant, the one mutie to disgrace, or honour, the Enclave's name. The very mention of his name inside the Enclave, or in New California itself, will strike fear into those whose ears it pierces like a bullet. Frank Horrigan, the Enclave's best soldier, and only mutant to enter the ranks of the United States Army. Everyone feared him. Even the scariest of sergeants and generals, like Autumn and Dornan, feared this man even before he mutated. The perfect soldier. This is the story of Frank Horrigan. Born in 2211, Frank Horrigan is around 30 years old when you first meet him in Fallout 2. It is said he worked as a Secret Service agent directly under Enclave ex-president Dick Richardson, carrying out some of the Enclave's main objectives. Throughout his life he was honoured as being one of the Enclave's best agents, carrying out missions successfully and efficiently. The Enclave, being the remnants of the pre-war United States government, still continued their FEV research nearly 200 years after the war. But to further continue their research, they needed equipment, samples, and more. They originally planned to get these materials from the M.O.O.N military base, the mutant factory from Fallout 1. To get these resources, the Enclave began digging. When they began digging, they required impure specimens to carry out the dirty work. Wastelanders from settlements like Redding, New Reno, and even tribal villages like the Chosen One's Arroyo were abducted by the Enclave, and if they even spoke of fleeing, it meant death, and Frank Horrigan was one of the soldiers behind this. However, when on the job guarding the miner slaves sent to dig at the M.O.O.N military base, most of the slaves and soldiers were exposed to the FEV, Frank getting it the worst. Frank Horrigan was flown back to the oil rig immediately, where he was hospitalized and isolated due to his exposure. However, Enclave scientists began to poke around at their new test subject. Frank Horrigan began his transformation into a full-blown super mutant. Compared to the ones seen in Fallout 1, most of the mutants were incredibly stupid compared to Generation 1's super mutants. Frank Horrigan was an exception. After fully mutating, Frank stood at over 12 feet tall, and was extremely powerful. The Enclave scientists saw this as one of their best experiments yet, and so turned Frank Horrigan from a gigantic mutant into a cold-blooded killing machine. Frank required a specialized arm-mounted minigun weapon as well as a custom suit of power armor developed by the US Army. The suit of armor Frank Horrigan wears is similar to another design at the time, the Enclave Advanced, seen used by most of the Enclave soldiers during Fallout 2. The main differences between Frank's suit and a normal Enclave power suit is that Frank was outfitted with a built-in life support system which kept him alive and pumped with drugs, as he would not be able to live without the suit due to the sheer amount of radiation he consumed. After he was equipped and ready for battle, Frank continued his campaign with the Enclave, gathering enslaved wastelanders to continue digging for the M.O.O.N military base. The Chosen One has witnessed this on some occasions, where Frank Horrigan has ordered his 2 Enclave soldiers to gun down 3 helpless wastelanders due to their lack of compliance to go with the Enclave. On other occasions, the Chosen One can find visual logs from different bases across the wasteland of Frank laughing off plasma fire, punching someone once and they dying, and also crushing a Deathclaw skull with his bare hands. Leggett Lanuse may be the monster of the East, but Frank Horrigan is the wasteland's worst nightmare. When the Chosen One enters the Enclave oil rig to stop them once and for all, they are faced with the mutated menace himself. The Chosen One is then faced with their toughest battle yet, and somehow comes out of it. Frank Horrigan is sliced straight in half, and before dying activates the oil rig's self-destruct, destroying the Enclave's main HQ and himself in the process. In the aftermath of all this, the Enclave obviously fled to the capital Wasteland, being closely tracked by the Brotherhood of Steel, who arrived later on. The NCR reaped in the Enclave's success as they managed to get themselves some of their vertibirds, and the Brotherhood got themselves some technology that the Wasteland had never seen before. That is the story of Frank Horrigan, the Enclave's most brutal soldier and the Wasteland's worst nightmare.
You haven't won here. You and your mutie bastard friends are gonna join me in a big ol' mushroom cloud send-off. I just triggered the self-destruct. The work will go on. You didn't do nothing here except seal your own death warrants.